violent groups all operating, it's hardly the country to be asking others questions. And the second point, which he raised, is if you have any evidence, bring it to us and we'll talk about it. I think that was wonderful. So I want to start with Sushant Sareen first. Sushant, the question that everyone's beginning to ask more and more is, there is a fundamental difference in the way in which we are dealing with our national interests vis-a-vis the rest of the world. How would you put it? You watched it over the years, especially in the context of Canada.
Look, I think we're dealing with it in a very reasonable manner, if you ask me. We're not being pushovers. We're not getting bullied. Just because somebody has leveled an allegation without any basis, without any evidence, we are not saying, Ji Huzur, Ji Mai Baap Sarkar, aap Adesh de and we will do whatever you ask us to do. We're saying, okay, if you think that there is anything, why don't you show it to us? Over the last 8 days, nothing has come out so far. I think it's been more than 8 days now. It was last Monday out there, so it's almost 10 days.
About 10 days now.
If I'm not, yeah.
Yeah.
They've not shown any evidence. Constantly some of the Godi media in the West will come out with something and say that, this new information has come out. How does it add substantially to the allegation or the accusations that you have leveled? And does a leader of a G7 country, supposedly a serious country, level allegations in such a cavalier manner? And on what basis? Without any evidence, none whatsoever. They claim that we've spoken to the Indians about it. The Indians are saying you have not shared any evidence with us. And then, then you do this kind of grandstanding all over the world. So obviously there is a pushback coming, and there's a massive pushback coming. The pushback is coming from the government, and the pushback is coming from ordinary people in India who are saying that, look, there cannot be two principles for two different people. The principle has to be the same. If you talk about a rules-based order, then just because you were there in positions of power when those rules were being set, does not mean that you're free to flout those rules. So the same rule should be applying to you. Then you cannot say that I can go into any country, bomb the hell out of a country, kill millions of people, and that is not doing transnational repression. That's not the way it works. So one is the principle of this particular action. Secondly, we are saying that we have denied completely that we had anything to do with this incident.
Louder.
And we are saying that, okay, fine, if you think, if there is any reason that for you to believe, then please share with us the reason why you are doubting our bona fides, why you are leveling charges against us. You can just push us around. You've got another thought coming. And we'll push back, and we'll push back really hard. And we are not going to take this lying down. And I think that is a refreshing change from a time where, the general responses would be somewhat mealy-mouthed, not saying anything. Yeah, maybe with some countries we would take a somewhat stronger position. But look at the kind of language, for example, Arnab, we have started using with Pakistan. Some of the statements that have been issued on Pakistan, calling it the mothership of terrorism, for example, a number of other descriptions. A similar kind of stuff has been used against Canada. We've let it be known in no uncertain terms. In one of the advisories, for example, that there's political condoning of hate crimes by the Canadian authorities and of violent crimes by the Canadian authorities. And there is political condonation of that, right? That is one. The way the External Affairs spokesperson said the other day that, look, if any country must fear reputational damage, and in fact, that has actually started being spoken about many other countries, not just by India. The Bangladeshis have come out with their bad swinging. The Sri Lankans have said the same thing. There are other countries. The Poles have, of course, Trudeau has riled up the Poles also. They accuse us of fascism when they invite a goddamn Nazi, a person who was serving in the SS, in their parliament, and they applaud the guy. And then they feign ignorance that we didn't know what this guy is all about. Even today, no media house in Canada has asked on what basis was this man even invited. Did you not check his antecedents? Was he invited because he was a Ukrainian? Simply on that basis, or was there any other basis? Who knew this guy? Who gave his name? Nobody has asked any of these searching questions of the Canadian authorities. If you want to see compliant media, if you want to see embedded media, if you want to see sold out media, look at the Western media. How they parrot things without any question. And I think that is where, this pushback has come. That is where, because of this strong pushback, this issue has received a kind of salience around the world. Of course, I don't expect many Western media houses to take our word for it. And they will not. Why will they? We don't pay them anything, right? The guys who pay them they will sing their tune. And when has the Western media been objective? Let's talk about Iraq. All these people will say, but Iraq is a different case. It was a case of, like the editors of The Economist tell us, all intelligence is imperfect. Yes, all intelligence is imperfect, but whatever shoddy and flimsy intelligence you claim to have on India is perfect intelligence. Do you see the double standards out here? Right? So the editors of The Economist, who were in the forefront of calling for a war in Iraq, in which millions of people were killed, are now pontificating that, you cannot let India get away without consequences, without even a shred of evidence that they have produced. And they expect us to take it lying down. I'm afraid that's not going to happen anymore.
Mr. Sareen, what is very, very important right now is that today's discussion is happening in a pre-general election year. In my first debate, I had Ambassador Kawal Sibul, I had Ambassador G. Parsati debating with...
Let me just cut you short. Arnab, just a second.
No, but I do. Let me explain why. Let me explain why. Allow me to intervene.
Let me just say one thing. I don't give a damn about the election. Elections will be fought by politicians. It will be fought on a variety of issues. This, for me, is a matter of India's pride, India's security, India's integrity, India's reputation. For me, this is that issue. I don't give a damn about the politics of it. And I'm very glad that, most responsible politicians across the political spectrum have taken exactly the position they should have taken on what is a national issue. So I won't get into the politics of it.
I respect your view.
I leave to you, but
I respect your view, Sushant. But the reason, I respect your view for that. But as a political journalist, I would say this, Sushant, that I do give a damn for the simple reason that I believe that Indian foreign policy has changed dramatically since 2014 and more directly since about 2015, 2016. And the last 7 to 8 years particularly have seen a sharp turn where we put national interest